He killed my daughter. But tonight, I will kill him. Come and get me. Now.
Halloween Ends came out in the year 2022 and was directed by David Gordon Green. This would be the third time that he would return to the director's chair for a Halloween film, while also marking him as the only director within this franchise to direct 3 films. This film would also serve as the final entry into the Halloween 40 years later timeline, a timeline that started back in 1978, would pick up again in 2018, would continue through Halloween Kills, and would cross the finish line with Halloween Ends. This film is also, as of this date in 2025, the last entry into the entire Halloween franchise, and at this point in 2025, I don't know when we're going to get another entry into this franchise. They haven't talked about creating a brand new movie, a brand new trilogy. There has been a little bit of buzz online about maybe going the TV show path, something that the Friday the 13th series is currently working on. Maybe they're waiting to see if that's a hit, and then they will go with something like a Haddonfield TV show. I don't know exactly what they're planning, but as of 2022, not only did the timeline end, but the entire franchise ended. And I remember when this film was about to release, the buzz surrounding this film, people being so absolutely hyped to see the final showdown between Laurie and Michael. Something that we had seen a couple of times in this franchise, but never in this timeline, and all of the trailers geared you up for one final battle between Laurie and Michael. So the question is, was all the hype worth it? Were fans happy with the way that this timeline ended? And the quick answer to that is yes and no. Some fans were happy with the way it ended. Some people liked the very controversial decisions that this movie made, but I would say the vast majority of Halloween fans were very upset with the decisions they decided to make in this movie. And we are going to get to those decisions in my review, but I just remember when I first watched this movie, it was actually down here because they released the movie in theaters and they released it on Peacock on the same day. And since I wanted a bunch of friends and family to go with me to see this film, I thought it would be fun to show it in my movie room down here. So we all sat down. I remember cracking open a Coca-Cola, having some popcorn. We watched Halloween Ends, and at the end, we were all kind of stunned with the decisions they made. So let's do the review for Halloween Ends.
Michael Myers is alive.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
So Halloween Ends would be the final time we would see Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. The film would also bring back Andy Matichik as Laurie's granddaughter Allison, and filling out the role of Michael Myers would once again be James Jude Courtney. There would be a controversial character thrown into the mix this time around, and that character's name is Corey Cunningham, and Corey would be played by Rohan Campbell. The film actually opens up with Corey. Corey is babysitting a little boy on Halloween night, and as the parents are out having a good time, Corey and the kid decide to play hide and seek in the house. The kid ends up locking Corey in a closet as a prank. Corey starts to freak out, try to kick the door open, and as he's kicking the door, he screams, "I'll kill you." He kicks the door open. The door slams into the boy accidentally. The boy falls over the banister to his death down below, right as his parents are returning home from their date night. It's a very dark and grim way to open this film, but then we find out that Haddonfield has not been the same since that night in 2018. Remember, Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills are on the same night, and Michael had murdered so many people in Haddonfield that night, ending his killing spree by killing the daughter of Laurie Strode, Karen, and then apparently he went missing because now it's 4 years later. Michael has vanished, and the town has tried to move on from Michael Myers, but it's hard since he's missing. There's almost like this dark cloud hanging over Haddonfield Haddonfield, and every year on Halloween when something tragic happens, people say it's the curse of Michael Myers. We then catch up with Laurie Strode and Allison days before Halloween. You find out that Laurie Strode and Allison have moved in together. Laurie is trying to move on with her life, trying to put all of that fear of the boogeyman in the past and just look forward in life. That's what she's trying to do now. What happened to the boogeyman? Nobody really knows, but just getting away from that dark, depressing, boogeyman is coming after me attitude that she's had for her entire life. And then we cut to Corey Cunningham once again. You find out that he didn't go to jail after killing that kid accidentally. It was ruled an accident, but while he didn't go to jail, the people of Haddonfield really don't like him. In fact, when we catch up with him, he's being bullied by a bunch of high school band members, and the person who intervenes to stop them from bullying him is Laurie Strode herself. Laurie and Corey talk to each other, they sort of hit it off, and she decides, hey, he's my granddaughter's age, maybe I'll introduce them, and she does, and Allison and Corey hit it off almost immediately. But then after a couple of things happen in the movie, Corey runs into those high school bullies again. They throw him over a bridge. He lands next to a sewer, and he's dragged into that sewer by none other than Michael Myers. You find out for the past 4 years, Michael's been hiding out in these sewers, eating rats or whatever comes into the sewers, and as he's staring into the eyes of Corey, instead of killing Corey, it seems like the evil that's inside of Michael has started to transfer itself into Corey. Corey then leaves the sewer a different kind of person, someone filled with rage and filled with evil. He immediately kills someone and then starts to go on a killing spree of his own, leading to Halloween night. So the setup for the movie is this. You've got Laurie Strode, who has now introduced the new embodiment of evil, Corey Cunningham, to her granddaughter Allison, and you've got the real Michael Myers starting to get his strength or his supernatural power back, because as Michael starts to kill people in the movie, he starts to become more of himself. Now this Halloween, there are two boogeymen in Haddonfield, and both of them want to kill Laurie Strode. And that's the best synopsis that I can give you for Halloween Ends. If that sounds like a fun time, well, this movie is currently streaming on Peacock. You can check it out there, or you can find this movie on physical media. That's how I'd recommend that you watch this movie. But guys, this is the final entry into my Halloween movie review series, all Halloween season long in 2025. I have been watching and reviewing the entire Halloween franchise, dropping the reviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I hope you guys have enjoyed all of these reviews. But remember, there's still one video left to come on Halloween itself. I will be dropping a full ranked list of the entire Halloween franchise from the worst to the best. And finally, guys, if this is the first time you found my channel, well, I would love for you guys to hit that subscribe button, check out all the different content that I have. Whether you like movie reviews, Blu-ray talk, or even ranked list videos, I've got a little bit of everything on my channel, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. All right, let's get into my positives and my negatives for Halloween Ends. Alright guys, so it wouldn't be a Halloween movie review from Michael Weer if I wasn't talking about the opening title sequence. I feel like I've talked about it in almost all of these reviews, and this movie is no different. I love the opening title sequence. You see a pumpkin once again, but this time it's changing shapes, sort of letting you, the audience, know what to expect throughout this film, because evil, while it's been in Michael Myers for so long, is starting to change shapes. It's starting to move to a different person, something that this franchise has teased us with over the years, but this movie would really commit to it. And so the opening title sequences of those pumpkins is really fun, just sort of giving you a clue as to what you're going to see throughout this film, with all of those different pumpkins changing shapes throughout this title sequence. Also, fun side note to the opening title sequence, all of the orange font is the same font as Season of the Witch. I think they just did that for fun, but it's still pretty cool. Now, while I'm not the biggest fan of the Corey Cunningham character or the plot line of evil transferring itself from Michael to someone else when this whole timeline has not been about that at all, and we will get into that in my negatives, my next positive is actually about Corey and Michael teaming up together. It's a really fun moment in the movie when Corey has decided not only to embrace the evil that's started to transfer into him, but he wants to learn from Michael Myers. So we have this scene where a doctor and a nurse, they go back to the doctor's house. The doctor tells the nurse, hey, go take a shower. I'll be in there in a minute. And then from the shower, she hears something happen to the doctor. When she walks out, Corey's there and he's just stabbing this doctor in the neck. Corey has the scarecrow mask on. It's a really great scene in and of itself. But then my favorite part of this scene happens. She runs back into the house, locks Corey out of the house. She feels safe. She starts to walk away, starts to make a phone call, but runs directly into the boogeyman. Michael Myers picks her up and for the final time in this franchise, pins someone to the wall with that knife, just stabs her right in the gut, pinning her to the wall, killing her. It's a great scene. It's really the first time we get to see Michael outside of that sewer system. Michael has one more kill before this. Corey has one kill before this, but this is where they're working together. And I wish the movie had almost done more of that. Like we had two boogeymen working in tandem together. Unfortunately, it breaks down right after that and we no longer get them together, but that was a fun scene. My next positive also involves Corey Cunningham killing a bunch of people. This time he decides he doesn't need Michael Myers anymore. In fact, he wants to clean up the people in Haddonfield who he thinks need to be out of his life. So he actually takes the mask off of Michael Myers and goes on a killing spree of his own, killing his own mother, killing a radio DJ that had told him to get off his property at one point. But most importantly, and my biggest positive here, is taking on those high school bullies who were mean to him throughout the film. Well, I say mean to him, but at one point they literally tried to kill him by throwing him over a bridge, so he's just sort of getting back at them, and it's a great scene in a junkyard. At one point, he even uses a torch to burn somebody's face off, and again, at this point, he's fully embraced that pure evil, so he's got that sort of supernatural ability like Michael Myers has. And my final positive for this movie is even though they treated my boy Michael Myers dirty in this film, and again, I don't think the plot really was justified for this particular timeline, I do love how they definitively kill Michael in this timeline, because now there's no way to connect any future movies to this timeline, because anybody who wore the mask in this movie, well, they are dead, but especially Michael Myers. Michael Myers gets ground up like sausage at the end of this film, and again, I think it's a great way to end the timeline. We were promised one final showdown between Laurie and Michael, and while that doesn't happen till the very end moments of the film, I do appreciate that we get a definitive ending to Michael Myers in this movie. That'll do it for my positives. Now we have to move on to my negatives, and my first negative for this movie is unfortunately the way that Laurie Strode is written throughout this film. She's written as very dark, sad, depressed, and even suicidal character one minute, but then in the next minute she's, hey, life is great, show grief your tits. That's literally a line that she uses, and she's trying to motivate Allison to enjoy life, and then in the next scene she's like, this might be it. I'm going to write this book about how I'm going to commit suicide. Like she just continues to flip back and forth. Her emotions are all over the place. And maybe that's what would happen if you did live in fear for 40 years and then found out the thing that you were living in fear of, had no idea you even existed, didn't even care if you existed. Maybe that's how things would turn out, but I just don't like the way she's written. She's written a little better than the way Laurie Strode is written in the Rob Zombie films, but not much better. So it's a negative. My next negative of this movie is the quickly blossoming relationship between both Corey and Allison and how it feels so forced. This movie went in such a radically different direction than the previous two entries into this timeline that Corey now has a new love interest. They meet just days before Halloween, but by the end events of this film, she's ready to leave Haddonfield forever with Corey because they realize they want to be together forever. And the movie tries to give you some time with them so that you buy into their relationship, but it all happens so fast, and because the timeline hasn't been about their relationship at all, it just feels so forced. My next negative in this movie is going to be the character of Corey Cunningham. It's not that his story doesn't have a place within the Halloween franchise, because like I said before, the idea of evil transferring itself into someone else is something that the Halloween franchise has played with in the past. They teased it with Jamie Lloyd in parts 4 and 5. They even teased it at the very end end of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 when Laurie herself took on the evil of Michael Myers. So it's not something we haven't seen before. It's something that could work in this timeline if it's something that they had paid any attention to in the previous entries of this timeline. But instead, they made it all about Michael versus Laurie in Halloween 2018, Michael going through Haddonfield killing people, evil transcending every time that he gets a kill. And so by the time you get to the third film, they're like, oh, and by the way, evil can transfer itself. This is something the Halloween franchise has done, so just go along with it. And as a fan of the Halloween franchise, it just feels forced. You get this new character, Corey, who gets the whole opening title sequence to himself. You then find out that he is the new evil in this film. He even takes the mask off of Michael Myers and does several of the kills in this movie as Michael Myers as he's going through town cleaning up his mess, all to lead to a showdown between him and Laurie that doesn't last very long. And then Laurie kills him, but because he's got that evil in him, he can still be alive because that evil is sort of supernatural and keeps you alive. But then when Michael comes in to get his mask back, after Michael puts that mask on, the first thing he does is snap Corey's neck. But then apparently because that evil killed this new evil, then he's definitively dead. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all why this evil killing this evil makes this evil die. I don't get it. And again, Corey's character just feels very shoehorned into this film. Like, they didn't have enough content to give us Laurie versus Michael for an entire movie, so they threw Corey into this film to have another antagonist that Laurie can go back and forth with till the very end of the movie when we can finally get the showdown of Laurie versus Michael. Now, I know so far that my negatives for this movie have been very character-based. I didn't like the character of Allison and Corey getting together. Don't like the character of Corey in this film or just placing him in this timeline at this point. And I really don't like what they did with Laurie's character, and that's because all of these characters hold some of the same traits that I talked about earlier, and that is the trait of just switching up their motivation throughout this film. Laurie is sad and depressed, and then she wants to get Michael, and then she wants to get away from Michael. Then you've got Allison, who wants to get out of the town, but doesn't want to leave the town, but she will leave the town. Then you've got Corey, who feels bad about what he did, and he just wants to be left alone, but really he wants love, but really he wants to go out and dance, but really he wants to be pure evil. And then you've got Michael Myers, whose motivations are really shelved for the bulk of this film, and once again only leads him to Laurie Strode because he's going after his mask. Once he gets the mask, it's just the next person in line is Laurie Strode. There's never a real reason or motivation for them to have that final showdown other than she's in the same place that his mask currently is, so when he gets that mask from Corey, well, now he's going to have a showdown with Laurie. So again, all of the motivation of your main characters in this film flip-flops the entire time. And that leads to my next negative, and that is because of those flip-flopping characters throughout this film, the film doesn't have any real tension. Maybe at the very beginning, when Corey kills that kid, that's a pretty big shocking moment. You're like, oh, that caught me by surprise. There's nothing else in this movie that will catch you by surprise. There's nothing else in this movie that leaves you at the edge of your seat. You're just watching Corey Cunningham go from this kid who you want to like, who you feel bad for, to being pure evil, to embracing that pure evil, to then getting killed by Michael. And oh yeah, by the way, this is Michael versus Laurie again. Didn't you know that? Didn't we say that in the trailer? It's going to be Michael versus Laurie. We told you about this already. Like, that's what it feels like. There's no tension throughout this movie. I never felt for any of these characters, not even Laurie Strode, a character I've loved for so long throughout all of these Halloween films. Like, I don't care for any of these characters throughout the film. None of them bring those moments of tension where I want one of them to live or I want one of them to die. You just get these stale characters of Michael, Laurie, and Allison, and you get this brand new character of Corey who doesn't feel like he's in the right film, which leads to zero tension throughout the movie. And all of that leads to my final negative in this film, one of the biggest mistakes of this movie and this franchise, and that is making Michael Myers the background character in his final film. The Halloween franchise is very much so Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, and so to have Laurie Strode front and center, that was the right thing to do. But to have someone take Michael's place to say, well, really, it's been the evil the whole time, not Michael Myers. No, it's been Michael Myers. And I know I've kind of covered this through some of my other negatives already, but Michael being a background character in his final movie, that's a huge mistake. Michael being in the sewers at the beginning, you're like, okay, I guess he was hanging out in the sewers for 4 years. Nobody ever found him. I can sort of buy into that, but now he's back. What's he going to do to come back? Oh, he's really not going to come out of the sewers until he gets his ass kicked by Corey Cunningham. That's a choice to make. And so Michael just being a background character irritates me every time that I watch this movie. Overall, I think that this timeline did take a huge nosedive with Halloween Kills. It's not a very good entry into this franchise or into this timeline, but Halloween Ends feels like it goes completely off a cliff. All of the motivations that I was interested in from the characters in the previous films just goes off that cliff. I don't care about any of these characters. I don't care about their motivations. You give me this brand new character, Corey, and because you didn't take time in the previous entries to set this up, he just feels completely shoehorned. He feels like filler time until the real final fight between Michael and Laurie. It's incredibly disappointing because I love Halloween 2018. It's one of my favorite entries into this franchise. I think it brings this franchise back from the dead after so many timelines had crashed and burned, whether that's the original Cult of Thorn timeline or the Halloween Resurrection travesty in this franchise, or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which was very controversial. The idea that they were able to breathe new life into this franchise with Halloween 2018, and then to see the sequels of Halloween 2018 just continuously get worse, and finally again just go off a cliff with Halloween Ends. So would I recommend Halloween Ends to people? Well, it's a hard question for me to answer. On the one hand, no, I personally wouldn't, because it really disappoints me. From where the franchise was in Halloween 2018 to the absolute cliff that it goes off of in Halloween Ends for me, I wouldn't recommend it. But there's a lot of people out there that like that controversial decision to make Corey front and center. There's a lot of people that like the idea of evil transferring itself from someone other than Michael Myers. And so if you have not seen Halloween Ends yet, then I would recommend checking it out for yourself. But guys, like always, those are just my opinions because that's my review for Halloween Ends. Have you guys had a chance to see this film yet? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know where we agree or disagree. Maybe you really like this movie. Maybe you hate this movie more than I do. I'm somewhere in the middle because there's some fun things to enjoy about Halloween Ends, but the majority of it is disappointing. And finally, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright guys, we got to the end of my Halloween Ends review. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. This will of course cap off my Halloween movie review series until they make another Halloween movie down the road. Remember, I will be dropping a full ranked list of the entire Halloween franchise from worst to best on Halloween this year, so be on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, if you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got my entire Halloween movie review series list right there, and I've got all of my horror movie reviews right there.